You get the email you've been waiting for, the promotion goes through, or your boss says in front of everyone that you're the reason the whole project came together. Or a friend tells you she doesn't know how you managed to do it all, and she means it as a real compliment. For about 3 seconds, you feel good. Then something else shows up right behind it. A small voice that says, they don't actually know. They think you're better than you really are. And one day, probably soon, they're going to find that out. Your chest tightens a little. You smile anyway, because that's what you're supposed to do. Nobody else in the room notices a thing. If that sounds exactly like you, keep listening, because what we're talking about today isn't really about confidence. It's about something heavier than that. It's about feeling like a fraud inside your own life, even when every piece of proof in front of you says otherwise. You can have the degree, you can have the title, you can have years of experience and a track record people actually point to, and none of it touches the feeling. Because the feeling isn't asking for evidence. It already made up its mind a long time ago. So let's talk about what's actually happening here. And more than that, let's talk about what you can do about it, because you can. Think about the last time someone complimented your work. What did you say back? If you're like most women carrying this, you didn't just say thank you, you added something right after it. Oh, it was nothing. I got lucky. Anyone could have done that. Honestly, I almost messed the whole thing up. You weren't being modest, you were correcting them. Like their compliment was a mistake you needed to fix before it had a chance to stick. And it doesn't stop at compliments. You reread the same email 5 times before you let yourself hit send, looking for the one sentence that's going to expose you as someone who doesn't actually know what she's talking about. Your heart picks up before a meeting you've run 100 times. You watch someone else walk into a room and just talk, easy, relaxed, and your stomach drops a little because you wonder what they have that you don't. Here's what they have: the same fear you do. They're just better at hiding it that day. You scroll past a coworker's announcement post and think she clearly has it figured out. You watch a friend get up and run a meeting without a single note card and think she must have been born confident. You don't see her in the bathroom beforehand, breathing through it. You don't see the version of her that almost talked herself out of showing up in the first place. You only see the finished performance, and you compare your messy, panicked backstage to her calm 5 minutes on stage. Of course you come up short. Everyone does, when that's the comparison you're making. Psychologists actually gave this a name back in the late 1970s. Pauline Clance and Suzanne Ims studied a group of women who were, by every outside measure, doing extremely well. Good jobs, advanced degrees, real accomplishments that other people respected out loud. And almost every single one of them privately believed they were faking it. They called it the impostor phenomenon. And the part that made it so interesting is who it showed up in the most. Not the underachievers, the high achievers. The women who were actually doing the work and doing it well and still felt like a fraud every single day they did it. That part matters. This isn't a feeling that shows up because you're not good enough. It shows up because you are good enough, and somewhere along the way, you never learned how to let that land. And here's the part nobody warns you about. This doesn't fade as you get more successful. A lot of the time it gets louder. The bigger the title, the bigger the stage, the bigger the fall feels like it would be if anyone ever found out. So you keep climbing, hoping the next achievement is the one that finally makes the feeling go away, and instead it just raises the height you're afraid of falling from. Here's the part that makes it so hard to shake. Your brain doesn't treat your wins and your losses the same way. When something goes wrong, your brain files it as evidence. See, this is who you really are. But when something goes right, your brain files it under luck, or timing, or someone else helping you, or the bar being low that day. So you end up with a mind that's quietly collecting proof against you while it throws away proof for you, and you don't even notice it happening, because it's been happening since you were a kid. A lot of women learn this pattern early, and not by accident. Most of us were raised to believe that being liked mattered more than being right, that confidence in a girl looked like arrogance, but confidence in a boy just looked like confidence, that the safest way to take up space was to downplay yourself first, so nobody else had to do it for you. So you got good at shrinking your own accomplishments before anyone could question them. And now you're an adult doing real, hard, impressive things, and that old habit is still running quietly in the background, editing every win down to something smaller than it actually was. Can I ask you something? When does this hit you the hardest? Is it right after a big win, when you should feel proud and instead you feel like you got away with something? Or is it in the quiet moments, lying in bed, replaying a meeting and wondering if today's the day someone finally sees through you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I promise you're not the only woman who's going to recognize herself in what you write. Because here's what this actually costs you. You get the award, you smile for the photo, and then you go home that night and feel almost nothing. Not because you're ungrateful, because some part of you won't let it count. It's exhausting to perform a confidence you don't feel like you're allowed to actually keep. You say yes to more than you can carry, because saying no would mean admitting a limit, and a limit feels like proof you're a fraud. You overwork everything, not because you love the work, but because you're terrified of what one small mistake might confirm about you. You can't rest in your own success, because resting means sitting still long enough to actually feel proud. And feeling proud is the one thing that scares you most. It feels like letting your guard down right before the moment they catch you. And the loneliest part is, you probably think you're the only one carrying this. You look around at every confident woman in your life and assume she just has something you don't. Meanwhile, she's looking at you thinking the exact same thing. You sit in your car for a few extra minutes before you go inside after work, not ready to explain to anyone why a good day still feels heavy. You say I'm fine when someone asks, because the truth feels too complicated to put into a sentence. And the people who love you would probably want to help if they knew, but you've gotten so good at performing okay that nobody around you even knows there's something to ask about. So let's talk about what actually helps. Not a quick fix, something real you can start doing today. The first thing is learning to separate the feeling from the fact. The feeling says you're a fraud. The fact is you did the work, you got the result, and the result is real, whether your brain wants to count it or not. You don't have to believe the feeling to notice it and let it pass through without taking the wheel. The second thing is keeping actual proof somewhere outside your own head. A note in your phone, a folder. Every time someone says something good about your work, or you finish something hard, write it down in plain words. Not because you need anyone's approval, because your brain is bad at holding on to this stuff on its own, and you need a place to put the truth where it can't quietly get erased later. The third thing is saying it out loud to someone you trust, not as a confession, just as a fact. I got this amazing feedback today, and somehow I still feel like a fraud. The second you say it out loud, you usually hear how little it matches reality, and most of the time the person you tell will say me too, and that alone takes some of the weight off your chest. The last thing, and maybe the most important one, is letting yourself sit in a win for longer than 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds longer than feels comfortable. Let the compliment land without correcting it. Let the success be yours without explaining it away. It's going to feel strange at first because you're not used to it. That's fine. Strange isn't the same as wrong. And underneath all of it, try giving yourself the same grace you'd hand a friend without even thinking about it. If she came to you with this exact story, the same achievements, the same doubts, you wouldn't tell her she's a fraud. You'd tell her she's clearly good at what she does and just hasn't let herself believe it yet. You deserve to hear that too. Not from someone else first, from yourself. This feeling isn't proof that you don't belong where you are. If anything, it's proof of how much you actually care about doing it right. The women who never question themselves at all aren't always doing the best work. Sometimes they're just the ones who never look closely enough to notice the gaps. You notice, you care, you hold yourself to something real. That's not weakness pretending to be strength. That's just what it feels like to take your own work seriously. You earned everything you have. Not by accident, not by luck, not because nobody was paying close enough attention. You earned it the same way anyone earns anything, by showing up and doing the work even when it was hard, and even when nobody was watching. The only thing missing is letting yourself actually believe that. You don't have to fix this overnight. You just have to stop handing the feeling more authority than the facts. Because somewhere down the road, there's a version of you who finally walks into the room and just owns it. Not because the doubt completely disappeared. It might never completely disappear, but she stops waiting for permission to feel proud of her own life. She takes the compliment, she takes the credit, she lets the good day actually feel good all the way through, instead of bracing for whatever's supposed to go wrong right after it. That woman isn't someone you have to become from scratch. She's already in there. She's just been waiting for you to stop arguing with her. If this is something you needed to hear today, stick around. I talk about this kind of thing a lot here. The stuff that's hard to say out loud, but a little easier once you know someone else feels it too. So if you want more of these conversations, go ahead and subscribe. No pressure either way. I'll just be here saying the next one.